That tingling and numbness in your feet, it's like a light bulb that keeps flickering. But is the problem in the bulb itself, the wiring in the wall, or all the way back at the power station? Today, we are not just giving you a list of possible causes. You are going to become a signal detective. Welcome back to Healthier Daily, the channel where we give you the simple science-backed truths to live a stronger and more independent life after 60. I'm your host, Dr. Ben Carter, and to be our wise master electrician in this important investigation, we are joined by a physician who has spent his life teaching the wisdom of tracing our symptoms back to their true and often hidden source. It is our great honor to welcome Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara.
Thank you for having me, Ben. A wise electrician does not blame the light bulb first when it flickers. He gets his tools and he patiently traces the wire all the way back to the source to find the true problem. The beautiful and the very complex wiring of our body is exactly the same. We must learn to follow the signal. This is so very important. I had a patient, a wonderful woman, who was suffering from this flickering light in her feet. She was trying everything locally. She was using the cream she was soaking her feet every night, but the problem never ever went away. And this was because she was only trying to fix the light bulb, but the problem was not in the light bulb at all.
And that is exactly what our guide is all about today. In this detailed masterclass, Detective, Hinohara is going to teach us how to trace that faulty signal in our own bodies. In our journey, we will learn to investigate 3 key zones along the wire. We will start by investigating the power station, which is your spine. We will then travel down the line to investigate the local wiring, which is your foot and your ankle. And finally, we will learn to investigate the filament itself, which is the health of your nerves and your blood vessels. It is a true blessing to have this kind of knowledge, to be able to approach our bodies not with a sense of fear, but with the clear and the logical mind of a patient and a wise detective. If you are ready to get your detective's toolkit and to begin tracing the signal to find the true source of your problem, this weekend, please type the number 1 in the comments below. And be sure to subscribe to our channel. It's completely free, and this is an investigation that could give you the answers that you have been looking for. Okay, Master Electrician Hinohara, our investigation begins this Saturday morning. You have taught us that we must not blame the light bulb first when it is flickering. We must patiently trace the wire all the way back to the source. So for a person with tingling in their feet, where does our investigation begin? Where is the power station for our legs?
Yes, we must always start our investigation at the very source of all of the power, and the power station for all of the beautiful and the very long nerves that go all the way down to your legs is, of course, your lower back or your lumbar spine. A fault that is happening here at the very beginning of the wire will affect the entire line all the way down to the light bulb that is in your foot. And for my patient, the woman with the flickering light in her feet, this was the very first and the most important question that I asked her. I said, "Tell me about your back. Do you have any pain or any stiffness or any history of injury in your lower back?" This is where the investigation must always begin.
So the very first place that we must look for a foot problem is in the spine. Let's talk about the most common fault that can happen at this important power station, and that is a nerve root compression, which is a condition that doctors often call a radiculopathy.
Yes. For our viewers at home, you can think of this as being like having a pinched wire right at the very spot where it is leaving the main fuse box of your body.
And this is such an important concept for our viewers to understand. Let's look at the beautiful anatomy of this. The large and the very powerful nerves that control your legs and your feet exit from your spinal cord in your lower back, primarily between the beautiful vertebrae that we call L4, L5, and S1. These important nerve roots all come together to be able to form the largest and the longest nerve in your entire body, which is the famous sciatic nerve. Now, between each one of these vertebrae, you have a beautiful and a very soft gel-like cushion that is called a disc. But sometimes, due to an old injury or simply due to the process of aging, this soft disc can begin to bulge or to herniate. And when it does, it can press directly on that very delicate nerve root as it is trying to exit the spine. This is the physical pinch. And even though the pinch is happening all the way up in your back, because that beautiful wire, that nerve runs all the way down to your foot, the flickering light, which is the tingling, the numbness, the burning will often be felt at the very end of the line down in your toes. So a herniated disc is like having a pinched wire at the main fuse box. That is a brilliant and a very clear explanation. But doctor, I know from our research that there is another and sometimes a more serious problem that can happen at our power station.
Yes, the second fault is not a problem with just the individual wire as it is leaving the box. It is a problem with the main power cable itself. This is a condition that is called a spinal cord compression.
And this is a different and a very distinct kind of a problem. In this condition, which is often called spinal stenosis, the entire and beautiful canal that the spinal cord runs through has begun to narrow, and this is often due to the age-related changes that are happening in the bones of the spine. This puts a very gentle but a very constant pressure on the entire spinal cord. And the symptoms of this can be a little bit different. A person who is suffering from spinal stenosis will often feel a heaviness, a numbness, or a tingling sensation in both of their legs at the same time. And it is usually much, much worse when they are standing or walking for a long time. And it is often relieved very quickly when they sit down or they bend forward. It is a very important and a very specific clue for all of our signal detectives who are watching at home. It is a truly blessed and an awe-inspiring thing to be able to see the incredible and the very intricate design of our nervous system, a beautiful and a very sacred gift that we must learn to care for with great wisdom. So our investigation has now shown us that the flickering light of tingling and numbness in our feet can often be caused by a fault at the main power station, which is in our lower back. It is a critical and a very important first place for our investigation to begin. But doctor, as you taught our patient in her beautiful healing journey, what if the power that is leaving the station is clean and it is strong? Where does our signal detective look next on the line?
Yes, if the power that is coming from the main station is good and it is strong, we must then travel all the way down the beautiful wire to the junction boxes that are located near the house itself. This is our second and very important investigation zone. We must investigate the local wiring, which is our beautiful and very complex foot and ankle. And for our patient, the woman with the flickering light, this was the next very logical step in her beautiful journey of discovery. Her wonderful doctor had confirmed for her that her back was healthy and it was strong. There was no physical pinch that was happening at the power station. So now we had to look very closely at the wiring that was closer to the light bulb itself.
So let's investigate the first and the most common fault that can happen in this local wiring. And that is a very common condition that is called tarsal tunnel syndrome.
Yes. For our viewers at home, you can think of this as being like having a pinched wire right at the very point where it is entering your house.
And that is a brilliant and a very helpful analogy. For our viewers who are watching on this beautiful Saturday, many of you have probably heard of the very common condition, carpal tunnel syndrome, which is a very common pinched nerve that happens in the wrist. Tarsal tunnel syndrome is the exact same problem, but it happens down in your ankle. There is a very narrow tunnel of ligaments and bones that is on the inside of your ankle, right behind that large and prominent ankle bone. And through this very narrow tunnel run all of the important nerves, all of the arteries, and all of the tendons that go to the bottom of your foot. But if this tunnel for any reason becomes inflamed or it becomes swollen, it can begin to squeeze and to compress the very important tibial nerve, which is the main nerve that is running through it. And this is what causes that very specific and very frustrating burning, tingling, and numbness on the bottom of the foot. So the tarsal tunnel is a major junction box that can have a very serious fault. But doctor, I know from our research that there is an even simpler and perhaps an even more common cause of a physical pinch in our local wiring.
Yes, the most common cause of all is often the one that we are wearing on our feet every single day of our lives. It is simply our shoes that are too tight. And for our patient, this was another very important clue in her investigation. I asked her about the shoes that she wore every day, and she told me that she had been wearing the same pair of old and very narrow dress shoes for many, many years, even just when she was walking around the house, because she liked the way that they looked.
And this is such a powerful and a very simple cause for our viewers to be able to investigate. Let's look at the beautiful science of this. Your beautiful foot has many, many small and very delicate nerves that run between all of the long metatarsal bones to be able to give sensation to your toes. But if you are wearing a shoe that is too narrow in the front, in the toe box, it can act like a very powerful and a very relentless clamp. It is constantly squeezing all of those beautiful metatarsal bones together. And this is what can pinch and can irritate those delicate nerves that are running between them. And this is a very, very common cause of that tingling and that numbness that so many people feel in their toes. It is a simple and a very correctable mechanical problem.
And so the solution is also a very simple and a very beautiful one. You must choose a shoe that has a wide and a very generous toe box. You must give your beautiful toes the precious space that they need to be able to breathe and to be able to live freely.
It is a truly blessed and a wonderful thing to know that so often the path to our healing is not found in a complicated surgery or in a powerful medication, but it is found in a simple and a very gentle act of giving our bodies the freedom and the beautiful space that they need to be able to heal themselves. And we love sharing this kind of holistic wisdom with our global community. To help us see our global community, please let us know what city, state, or country you're watching from. We love hearing from all of you. So our signal detective has now thoroughly investigated the power station in the spine for any major faults, and he has investigated the local wiring in the foot and the ankle for any smaller, more localized problems. For many people who are watching on this beautiful Saturday morning, the true source of their problem will be found in one of those first two places. But doctor, what if the entire wire from the power station all the way down to the foot is clear and it is free from any physical pinch? What is the final place that our signal detective must look?
Yes, if the entire wire is clear, we must finally and logically look at the light bulb's filament itself. We must look at the health of the tiny and very delicate nerve endings, and we must also look at the quality of the power that they are receiving from the blood. This is our third and final investigation zone. We must investigate the filament itself. And these are the systemic issues.
So this is where the problem is not a physical pinch from the outside, but it is a problem with the health of the nerve from the inside. Let's talk about the most common cause of this, which is, of course, peripheral neuropathy.
Yes, this is the condition where the filament of the beautiful light bulb has become old, and it has become frayed and damaged over time.
And there are two main and very common reasons why this delicate filament can become damaged in our seniors. The first, as we have discussed in our very important video on the metabolic fire, is of course diabetes. The chronically high blood sugar that is seen in uncontrolled diabetes is a direct and a very slow-acting poison to these delicate and beautiful nerve endings. It causes them to slowly die off over time. And the second great cause is a vitamin B12 deficiency. As we have learned, the beautiful vitamin B12 is what is responsible for building the protective insulation, which is the myelin sheath that is around the nerve. And without this beautiful and important insulation, the delicate filament becomes exposed and it is very easily damaged. So if you are suffering from a tingling in your feet, it is absolutely essential that you work with your trusted doctor to be able to check for these two very common and very serious systemic causes. So diabetes and a B12 deficiency can directly damage the filament itself. But doctor, you also said that in our investigation, we must also investigate the power supply to the filament. What do you mean by that?
Yes. Sometimes the filament of the light bulb is perfectly healthy, but the power that is coming to it is being cut off. This is exactly what happens in a very interesting condition that is called Raynaud's phenomenon. And for our patient, the woman with the flickering light, this was another very important clue that we had to investigate. I asked her, "Do your feet ever turn very white or a bluish color, especially when you are cold or you're feeling very stressed?" And she told me that they did. And this was a very, very important clue in her case.
And this is such a fascinating condition. Let's look at the beautiful science of this. In a person who has Raynaud's, the small and the very delicate blood vessels, which are the power lines that are in their fingers and their toes, are very, very overreactive. And in response to a simple cold or to a moment of stress, they can go into a spasm and they can clamp down very, very tightly. And this temporarily cuts off all of the beautiful blood flow and all of the precious oxygen to that area. And just like a beautiful light bulb that has had its power cord unplugged from the wall, the nerves in the feet will begin to flicker. And this is what causes that very strange and very frustrating feeling of tingling and of numbness. And then when the beautiful blood flow finally returns to the area, the feet can often begin to throb, and they can turn a very bright red color. So it is a problem with the beautiful power supply and not with the wire itself. It is a brilliant and a very clear distinction. So Detective Hinohara, that now completes our full three-part investigation. We have investigated the power station, the local wiring, and now the filament. Let's officially close the case file on your patient, the woman with the flickering light.
This was the beautiful and the very simple conclusion to her long and frustrating story. After our long and very patient investigation, we had finally found all of the important clues. Her back, which was the power station, was clear. She did have some shoes that were a little bit too tight, which was a part of the problem. But the biggest and the most important clue of all was that her feet would turn white and blue in the cold. And this was a classic and a very clear sign of Raynaud's. We did not need to give her a powerful and a scary medication. The beautiful solution was very simple. We taught her to always keep her feet very warm with beautiful and soft woolen socks. And we taught her how to manage her stress with some simple and very gentle daily breathing exercises. The power supply to her feet was now stable. And after just a few weeks of this gentle and beautiful practice, the flickering light that was in her feet finally and completely went away. The case was solved with simple warmth and with beautiful peace.
That is a truly beautiful and a blessed story, Doctor. It is a powerful reminder that sometimes the most profound and the most lasting healing is found in the simplest and the most gentle of all of our daily actions, Doctor, that is an incredible and a very hopeful detective story. You have taken the frightening and very confusing problem of chronic nerve pain, and you have given our viewers a clear, a calm, and a very logical map to be able to trace the signal. Your signal detective protocol is a revolutionary new way for us to think about our senior health. By learning to investigate the power station, the local wiring, and then the filament itself, our viewers can now stop feeling like a victim of their nerve pain, and they can start to find the real answers that can lead to their healing. This important knowledge is a true cornerstone of a proactive senior health strategy. It is a practical and a very powerful way to find a real path away from the daily misery of chronic nerve pain and to live a more comfortable and a more confident life. Now, for our viewers at home who are watching on this beautiful Saturday morning and are inspired to become their own signal detective, what is the master protocol? What is the simple step-by-step diagnostic journey that they can begin with their own doctor?
Yes, the master protocol is a beautiful and a very logical journey of discovery. It has 3 simple steps that you will take in partnership with your trusted doctor. Step 1 is to gather your clues. Your very first step is to become a good and a very observant detective. For the next few days, I want you to keep a small journal. You will write down all of your clues. Is the tingling sensation in one of your feet, or is it in both? Is it worse in the morning, or is it worse at night? Do you also have any pain in your back? You are preparing your beautiful and very important case file. Step 2 is to start the investigation at the power station. Then you will take this beautiful list of clues to your doctor, and you will begin the investigation together. You will not just say, "My foot is tingling." You will say, "Doctor, here are my clues. Could this be coming from my back?" You will start your investigation at the power station. And step 3 is to follow the signal. And if your back is found to be healthy, you will then, together with your doctor, patiently follow the signal down the line. You will investigate the local wiring in your feet and your ankles, and then you will investigate the filament itself with the simple and very important blood tests. You must be a patient and a very logical detective, and you must work together with your doctor as a beautiful team. The tingling in your feet, it's not a mystery to be feared. It is a puzzle to be solved. I encourage you to be a patient detective, to trace the signal with your doctor, and you will find the source. And when you find the source, you will find your peace.
That is a beautiful and a very empowering message to end on, Doctor. Thank you for sharing your incredible wisdom and for teaching us how to be a wise and a patient detective of our own health. And for all of you who are watching at home, if you found this guide empowering and it gave you a new and a more hopeful way to think about your symptoms, please give this video a like. It truly helps others who may be living in fear and in confusion to be able to find this important and life-changing information. And be sure to share it with a friend or a family member who you know needs to hear this hopeful message. If you have not already, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. It is completely free and it ensures that you will not miss our next deep dive into your health and your well-being. We would be so honored to have you as a part of our growing community. And for our community discussion today, we would love to know which investigation zone, the power station, the local wiring, or the filament was the most surprising or eye-opening for you to learn about. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. And finally, it is absolutely essential that you speak with your personal doctor or a neurologist to get a proper diagnosis for your nerve pain. Please do not try to self-diagnose serious conditions based on this video. Our conversation today is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for the direct medical advice from your own trusted physician. Thank you for being with us. be well,